Welcome back. And we are in the process, the second part, of bringing things together. Now, before we were using in our Fuzz pedal, Jackson Audio Modular Fuzz, we were using the Fuzz Page Mark II module because it is particularly noisy and powerful, and we like that. We have our contrabass clarinet samples here, and we've got our Omni signal blender here. We're mixing in dry signal, also using a noise gate, and playing around a little bit with compression some more. So this is the second part. There is the link to the first part in the comments section below. So let's continue, where I should mention using a setting that we created before for the modular fuzz, the EQ. We want to find a nice way to use the octave circuit. We're going to design one particularly to go with this module, and we're just going to play around with the stuff we've got going on. Find a nice balance is the other thing. One thing we failed to mention last time is that there's actually internal knobs in the fuzz pedal that can control the same as this mid-frequency range for the two other frequencies, and there's also a Q setting for the three EQ things. So, okay. So here's our first sample from Little Green Spirits. You can hear that we've got the signal blender at unity gain there, around 2 o'clock. Okay, let's hear how it sounds with the fuzz and without any of the dry signal. That could come down for a start. Just as a little note, gain staging is something that we need to have a think about. We're also not entirely sure where the compression is going to go best, but that's all stuff to be thinking about. Okay, let's get a wet-dry signal balance going. Okay, pretty clear. The difference that makes things nice and round, adds depth to it. Lovely. Let's see what we like about volume though. Okay, so I don't think it's as important for there to be dry signal in here as it is with the Fuzz Page Mark II. I think the Fuzz Page Mark II really fucks things up in the best possible way. It really creates a lovely mess of the sound, but that leaves it feeling a little thin or a little cracked, and it's nice to fill in those cracks with some dry signal. Now, that said, it's similar levels as we had it with the Fuzz Page Mark II, but I think that the volume here is higher. Anyway, let's move on and see how it sounds with some octave in there as well. Okay, we definitely get some of the same cracking in the sound that we did with the Fuzz Page Mark II, like the crackling hiss that we don't want when the blend and the octave are maxed. So it's a question of bringing those under control. But it's just such a lovely effect. Sorry about that. Quick pitch change. So the Sentry takes out the static that it comes in when the octave is up too high or the blend is up too high on the octave circuit. But I don't know. I think I still prefer... there we go. That proves the Sentry works, doesn't it? I think I would still try and have that not present in the sound itself. Okay, so really fine-tuning there with the octave and the blend control, and especially because we're adding in the dry signal, I wanted the octave to have a noticeable difference when it's added. Yeah, this fuzz circuit seems to be able to take more intensity from the octave, I guess because it doesn't break things up so much. Great thing to notice, very happy about that. Let's have a quick look at how this works with the Sentry. Yeah, nice. nice and crisp. Okay, let's just play around with that a little bit and maybe try a little bit of compression, then we'll move on to some other samples. Okay, so that adding the compression does seem to make the attack more spitty, and I'm not sure if that's something we entirely want, but I think that's something we could work with eventually. And also, we haven't decided if we want the compression before the Sentry or after yet. And in the previous video we mentioned that there's two different ways we're thinking of using the compression. Either as simply a way of you know, when we play louder, it not being overwhelming, but another way is where it's like an always on kind of thing that makes everything a little bit more even. That was the approach we were using there, but with this fuzz module it did seem to make the attack a little bit more spitty. Maybe we'll come back to that with some different samples. Okay, so yeah, let's dive in with another sample, and I believe this one is from Esoteric Mechanism, and this is one where with the previous fuzz module we were actually having a problem where it smudged some of the finer technical things that I was doing on the clarinet, some of the grace notes. So it'd be interesting to see how this goes. Let's dive in. You can hear those grace notes there. There we go. Let's see how it sounds with the fuzz. Yeah, much clearer with this fuzz. You can hear the difference that allows for there. It's only a slight difference. I did have to boost the volume. I mean, maybe I can turn the volume down here on the fuzz a little rather than boosting it there, but that seems okay for now. Okay, wow, that octave is pretty intense there, isn't it? I like it though, I have to say. This module definitely gives more more subtlety to the grace notes. I like the intensity of the octave, as we were saying. The Sentry is definitely doing some great work there for sure. I am leaning towards the idea of maybe putting the Sentry, the compression, the mira, before the Sentry, so that the threshold is clearer for it. But that's not a huge issue here. Okay, let's try another sample. The good old Shiva the Destroyer one. Okay. Okay, so definitely the Sentry doing a great job there. Something I was thinking before is that it would be a great idea to have some reverb on this, and especially when the Sentry is working so beautifully like that, it would be nice to have a little bit of a glow around everything, a little bit of space. So, let's see how this sounds with the octave, that lovely intense octave. Okay, yeah, definitely need to back that octave off a little bit, especially this tune with higher notes like that. But I still like the intensity at that level. It's just more noticeable on this particular song. Okay, another sample. This would be from Sunset Surfing. Let's dive in. Okay, so yeah, that compression, the way that it's set up there, is definitely adding some pretty intense attack that we don't necessarily want. But yeah, I'm happy with how that is sounding. That's good. Let's move on to the next sample. Shabaka Mountain Jam first riff. So here we go. Okay, yeah, so the having some dry signal in there proving itself to be good and necessary in both normal fuzz and with the octave. Let's move on to the goat head fuzz module.